In three, two, one, and action.
Hey everyone, what's up? You're listening now to the Goodfolks podcast. This podcast is available actually in audio visual format on YouTube. It's also available in audio format on Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor. So a bunch of different platforms that you can check and you can play the podcast while multitasking, jogging, cooking, just doing wherever. So now we're like in episode 15 so far, and we have one of the most interesting guests. It's actually she is actually Sanaa. She is one of the co-founders of Pathos, public speaking at the U.S. Embassy in Algiers. That's what I know about you so far, but could you please tell people more about what you do?
Hi, thank you, Algeria Black Pearl, for having me in this spiritual podcast. I really like what you do, guys, in general, and I highly encourage you to do even more and more. So I'll start by introducing myself. I am Sanaa Belhimer, 23 years old, an English teacher, and also one of the founders of Pathos. We started Pathos at the American Cultural Center in Algiers, and we're trying and working on making it outside.
You're taking it out of the center.
Exactly. So we're trying to make it as somehow a startup.
Taking it out of the bibliothèque library of the American Embassy. So at first you started it there. You were doing everything for free.
Yeah.
But now you're taking the project out of the ACCA.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're doing it in schools. Is it going to be before it was for free? Now it's going to be like a business.
Paid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're going to still have the free sessions for as long as we can be here in Algiers, and then at the same time, for those who can make it, they would have like more privileges than the ones who are doing it in free. So they can come and join us and pay for it, and they will get more advantages comparing to those who get it in free. But still, for people who cannot really afford it, they still can join us and practice their public speaking with us.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you are an English teacher. You have bachelor degree in English?
I study at ENS, so it is a bachelor degree in teaching English, not English.
Bouzaria?
Yes, ENS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you live near?
Not the same. Yeah. It's
been a while since I went to Bouzaria.
No, I live in Ouled Fayet, and it's only around 20 minutes without traffic, and I have the bus comes every half an hour. So
do you go in the do you go on the school bus?
Yes. So it's every half an hour.
It's not the same school bus that goes to like Bouzaria University.
No, it's the same one. It's a school bus that goes from Ouled Fayet to Bouzaria Ouled Fayet.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand if like it's in the same bus station, because there's like the bus station, big bus station.
Yeah, it's the same one.
So Ouled Fayet, what I used to notice about the university bus of Ouled Fayet is that it's very crowded, and every time it comes, you see like a bunch of girls all running, jumping from the windows, people putting their backpacks so
That's
they can reserve. You were doing all this?
No, I never tried to go through a window or something, but yeah, like you go run, try to find a place, otherwise you're just gonna be staying up for, not stopping, like standing for 45 minutes. You see, with the traffic, it's really tiring, so you really have to تجري باش تلحق باش تحكم بلاصة.
Oh my God.
Well, they were really nice 5 years. I mean, you learn some things. Like there are some skills.
You learn how to run. I used to hate doing that.
I mean, I hate that. Like no one loves this. You see, no one. Even the person who like goes first doesn't like it. But we're obliged to do it. You see, so we don't have another choice.
But not all the time. For example, the bus at Tafura, for example, it takes 30 minutes or 25 or. I don't know, but most of the time I'm okay with standing and just on my phone. I prefer it if I was sitting, of course, but if it's not like not gonna fight. Sometimes like they fight, like this is my seat.
They do. I mean, it would tell you a lot about how people think. You see, if we are running after a bus to just like have a seat, then you can imagine why we would want certain positions and why we want things so bad, and we start like
Imagine if it wasn't seat. Imagine it was for food or for water
Yeah.
and people. That's where you can discover like the true selfishness of people, like
Yeah,
what greed they have inside.
it's the same thing for the bus. This is how you discover the selfishness of people. If while I'm like going to the bus and there is another person who can like just like punch you or do something so that you go out of her way so that she's gonna have a clear road way for her. You see, so it will tell you a lot about that person. If I'm gonna be able to hurt you just for a place, then I can do something. Maybe can do some other things to get what I want to.
Yeah, right. I have a friend who said he said last time he's not a university student, but he said that if he was studying in university in Buzarea, he would buy those backpacks that has like a chair that you can just.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I wish I heard it before.
Yeah, and he said that I would wait until everybody else is in, and then I say,
Well, there's
you're
no.
all in.
No, there is still be no place.
Yeah. I didn't tell him that,
Yeah.
but I got his point. He said that they just go to a corner and then he put on my
that's
chair.
not. Unfortunately, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, he's gonna watch this episode and discover.
But
that-
sometimes in the middle of the bus, sometimes they keep spaces, and that's what I hate the most. Like for example, you look at the bus, you find a lot of people in the
In front
first
of the door.
a lot of people in the
Second
second door,
door.
and then in the middle
Yeah.
there is like a big space,
Yeah.
and you're like, go, let us.
Exactly.
in.
This was my case every time I go when I came late and you find people standing in the door and there's a lot of space. Like, why don't you go there and let people do it? And sometimes they don't even move. You see?
They don't want to move.
They don't want to move. Like, why
Even
is
if
that?
you tell them, yeah. Sometimes they give you this
like-
this face gesture.
I'm like, yeah, وش رايك يا حبا? And they like start sometimes
No,
fighting and
no,
stuff.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like even if you go in public buses, but sometimes the public buses, يعني, as we say, يزيدوا عليها شوية. Like for example, sometimes there is no space, and you find that like receiver is like زيد شوية تما زيد شوية ما زكاني يسمع that. You
Yeah.
know, until everyone's like squeezing. And
Yeah. And you know what's really bad في الباص? It's not about like squeezing and stuff. It is a squeezing and then the result that has the squeezing, because you know الرسيفر لازم يجوز عليكم كامل باش ياخذ دراهم. So just like سمحي لي اختي نجوز, like no, like just try to give me some space and then راح نخليك تجوز, you see, instead of just like trying to squeeze other people تاني واحد اخرين اللي تلصق في ناس واحد اخرين just like to move. That's the results of like squeezing people in one bus, which is really small and having many people inside. So this is one of the most uncomfortable situations
inside a bus.
inside a bus.
In transportation.
Yes.
What about forgetting the changes? Changes.
What changes?
Like for example, you're paying for your ticket.
Oh.
And then there are money left. It's like, okay, I'll get back to you, and then he doesn't get back, and you're home, you know, after 2 hours, and then you remember that, holy damn.
It happened to me. And I was like, oh my God, how come I forgot? Actually, I was super tired that day, and he told me like, yes, du kan نعطيك 50,000. And I went home 2 hours later, exactly. I was like, oh my God, I didn't get my 50,000. You see? And you know, especially it hurts because...
You could have come in a car.
No, not only this, because it hurts على خاطرش they were دراهم لا بورس. You see, you know شغل هذيك العساية قاعد تستنى فيها for 3 months, and then تروح لك هكاك, it's something like pity. You feel really, really pity on yourself.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean,
Yourself.
I think I can imagine that things like that would happen when I arrive to the bus station and I find a lot of people waiting. Like I can expect that something bad will happen to someone. I will just try do my best that it's not me.
You didn't experience going after the bus in Buzarea, right?
What do you mean going after the bus? Like
I
running
mean,
after the bus?
Or like just trying to fight to get a place. You didn't
I
try.
never did that. I have a friend who did that. At first, she didn't do that at first. Like just.
Yeah, the first years you can't do this. You're a freshman.
But
you
then
can't do it.
she
You learn.
assimilated.
You have to learn.
I didn't do that.
It's part of the process. I mean, it depends on your personality. It depends on who you are and what are your principles. So if you think that you can do it, you will not do it, and you will still not do it for the 5 years, that's good for you. But that was actually not my case and the case of people I know. Like, no, we had to adapt throughout that situation. Yeah, otherwise we would be like, just like always standing in the bus, and that was not really comfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, there were many times where I could sit. I could have a seat.
Yes, but most
could sit in-
yes, yeah, it was the same thing for me too. But most of the time, it was this situation where like so many people trying to go to the door and just like all fighting, and I want to get the place, and then sometimes you see people fighting and arguing, and sometimes you see they block the entry, not the road, street, I don't know, like the way, they block the way, and they'd be like, they are fighting and just like خلونا ندخلوا, just like علاش درتي هيك وساكن and stuff like.
Yeah, some people like to stand on the door, on the doors.
Yeah, it's I think this is one of the things that should change. I mean, there are so many things.
There are so many things that should change, especially at university, but
Yes.
also like the way students behave. And this is actually something that I really want to discuss with you, just like how, like the vibes at university when it comes to students, because sometimes there are like some security agents. They are rude, like the way they treat students. But at the same time, like when I look at the behaviors that I don't know if I say some students or a lot of students, but there are students who just behave very badly, and they deserve to be treated by security agents in a very rude way, or in a strict way, not a rude way, strict way. But like, yeah, I mean, the first time I used to get angry, like, why are you talking like this? You know, why are you behaving like this to security agents? But then when I saw the other type of students, I was like, oh, maybe that's why the administration is recruiting this type of security agents, is because so that they can stop this type of students. And then you're in the middle of all this mess, you know, you don't belong to the first category, you're just like a nice person, but you know that people are not gonna, the administration is not gonna make rules based on the nice people, you know.
Did you interfere in such situations?
I did not, but I have a friend who was actually misjudged unfairly by a security agent when she was in classroom, and when he came and then he started yelling at her. I don't know what happened back then, and she was like, did you even ask me what I'm doing here? Did you even ask me? Like, well, like, why are you yelling? Like, do you know me? And then she went to the administration and she talked about it, and then he came, and yeah, I don't know. And then even when then I interfered, I was there, you know, and they asked about what I think. I'm not sure if they asked or I just talked, but what I said is that that's not how you're supposed to talk. You're supposed to talk nicely, you're supposed to talk respectfully. And then what the security agent said, he was like, شغل انت راك تهضر بالحنانه، ما على بالكش احنا الخدمه تاعنا واش رانا نشوفوا واش رانا نسوفري، والمره اللي فاتت جا واحد ودار هذه وهذه في كلاسه تسمى تاع الصح كي نجي نهضر هكذا.
Yeah, but
so,
then can I interrupt?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually something, it's a behavior that is instilled in that person. You see, he saw one situation, and when he saw another person, maybe like there are some clues to that are similar to the first situation, he said, no, it's going to have the same result, so I have to take the exact same action I took before.
Right.
And he didn't really make a difference between the first one and the second one. And I think that's something he should have considered, because you have to have an evidence that this person is making something wrong before taking an action towards them.
Yeah, I mean,
he came just yelling at her without asking her.
Because he associated that situation with something else, another situation, and that person with another person. And I think that's the problem in our society. Generalization a lot.
Yes.
Always associating. I don't know if people don't want to think, they don't want to analyze, they don't want to come into a situation with a fresh mind. Like they always put people in categories and situation and categories just like to avoid that extra thinking. Sometimes, I mean, especially people administration, sometimes they just don't want to, like, don't explain to me. You know, they're like, don't explain to me. Just go that way or just go this way. So go on that door. Like they don't have the patience like to listen to what you have to say. And I remember I had a conversation with my uncle once, and he was like, you know, but how many people do you think they have to listen to them every single day? There are a lot of people who come, a lot of people who ask simple questions and the same questions all the time. But yeah, I mean, if we had a website, for example, where all the questions are answered, that might be justified. Like if someone gets bothered, it might be justified. But if the information is nowhere, then how the hell am I supposed, like me as a citizen, how the hell am I supposed to find the information? You don't have a website, guy. Of course I'm going to ask the first guy I see on the desk, you know?
I mean, listen, maybe we're going to say that a website is going to take a lot of time and it needs like recruiting another person who would do it for them or something. But it's just like one simple paper at the door of that department would be sufficient.
Thanks,
You see, like here is a question, a common asked question. Here is the answer. If you don't see the page or the paper, don't come and ask me. Go see the paper. If there is any clarification about it, come back. You're welcome. I think it's also related to the ability of people to take in responsibility. So if you are in a position, for example, as chief of department, and you have people asking you each and every time a certain question, so I think we have to have in mind that, okay, I'm going to that position, it's a lot of work, many people are going to come and ask me, so I have to take full responsibility of them. You see, it comes also with the consciousness. By consciousness, I mean الضمير, you see? Like إذا عندي ضمير مليح, so I will really take care of each and every student, no matter how tiring it might be, because I'm responsible and that's my job. So it's really clear for me. If it's not, if I just like get bothered by questions, I can't find a solution for them, and if I can't find a solution for them, I don't really have the right to go and treat people badly because they don't know and they need orientation.
Yeah, but that's exactly what they do. I mean, they treat other people badly, even though they have, maybe it's the first time they come, but they treat them just like with the idea that they know or they're responsible for the fact that they are tired. Or yeah, but anyway, so before we started this podcast, we were talking about a bunch of different things, and I want to get back to them. And one of the things that we talked about was actually people who show off with their background, because that's something that happens a lot. So I'm going to tell you about this story that happened to me with someone that used to study with me in middle school, and like it's middle school, that's like 10 years ago. And when we met at the gym, and then we started the conversation, was like, hi, you know, how are you doing? Good, labas, alhamdulillah. And then I said, so it's been a while. And then he looked at me and he was like, he said that when you say it's been a while, as if أنا اللي مانيش نبان أنت اللي ماكش تبان. But then قال لي like the school where the school is located بلاصة اسمها شبشب. قال لي بلي انتم ماكش من شبشب ما تخرجوش. And I was like, what the hell? Like, do you even know me? I mean, there are some people that when they have a travel experience, or they have a study experience abroad, or when they meet people from a higher class, they start treating people that used to study with them, or that they used to live with them, and they are that level. They start treating them badly, as if they are better than them. I never do that, and I hate people doing that. I always try to talk to all people from all categories and spend some time with them. The problem is that some people take that for granted. But I told him like, oh yeah, I mean I wasn't around because I was traveling. So I was in the US. I traveled also to Turkey and Sweden and Finland. And then he stopped and he stared at me and he was like, oh, مليح.
Now we can talk.
Yeah, and then he I don't know, like he got embarrassed or something. Then he wanted to cut the conversation. It was like صاحبك شو ما لقاش وش يهدر. صح ليش دير روحك هذا؟ Like.
Yeah, I think he should have appreciated the fact that a good friend of his, not necessarily a good friend, but someone he used to know, came and talked to him after a long while, because it happened to me where some people would stop talking to me just because without any reason, and I appreciate that, because I really appreciate people who leave without making any problem, without drama. Like, I don't like you, I leave. I love that, because this is really peaceful. But then when it comes to people, like, you try to reach them and you try to talk to them, there is no problem and stuff, and they should have appreciated this, because it's somehow rare when people don't see you for a long period of time and then they come and talk to you. But then if they don't like it and they start behaving in an abnormal manner, I think it's related somehow to the complex of inferiority. Like, oh, you don't ask about us and stuff, and I've been doing this and this and that and stuff, and then you tell them that you went and you traveled and whatever achievements you have achieved in your life. Like instead of trying to learn from you and tell you, hey, how did you do this? Would you please orient me or anything? They
I would love to.
Yeah,
sometimes I would love to like to help those people.
Yeah.
Just let them know about my experience and everything. But the thing is that they either don't ask, they're totally silent, and you don't want to propose something that might make you look like you're showing off or bragging, or maybe you're suggesting something that they don't want. It's kind of most of the time, like I don't show up on people, especially like people my age. I don't show up at the doorstep and start, telling them about pieces of advice.
Yeah.
Like I don't until they ask,
Yeah.
or we're having a conversation and they suggest something like, have you thought about doing this and that? But I can't just like go to someone and just advise them. But I wish they ask. But sometimes that when they see that you have done something, they think that you must be arrogant or you must be special or you come from a different category, and they don't want to talk to you. They are not even comfortable like to talk to you much.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I'll just tell a story and then go to my point. Actually, we had this great teacher that I used to love so much. She was my supervisor and I love her. She was Mrs. Nsakhar, and we used to study issues in culture, one of the best modules at ENS, and she's the teacher, where she teaches us about different situations in different parts of the world, social situations most of the time related to culture, and we have to discuss them. And during the conversation, sometimes she would be like, when I was in the US, when I was in Jordan, when I was like in this place and this place. And she does not tell the stories out of the context. You know, she's just like, okay, we're talking about this situation. She would bring a story related to that situation. But then when we finish the class, the students be like, oh, you know, هذيك تعرف غير تزوق علينا, تعرف غير هكا, you know, like تحكي لنا, we don't care about this. عشان تزوق علينا and stuff. I'm just like, okay, if she talked about out of the context, yes, that you're right to say this, but why would you say this? She was just trying
to. People don't have a good judgment, I guess, because there are teachers who do that. There are teachers who brag, and there are teachers who don't brag. But people.
That was not her case.
Yeah, but people, I don't know, like, I don't know how they judge. I don't know if they don't. What was my question earlier? I said I don't know if they don't think. Like, is it mere of thinking? I don't understand, because for you it's obvious. Like someone is talking out of context, he's saying something that he's not supposed to say, just bring it up in the class. It means that he's trying to tell us that he traveled before. And then someone else, he's bringing up an example.
Yeah.
And so it's very relevant.
Yeah.
But people don't see that. They see it as the same thing. Like if you tell us where you were, it means that you are bragging.
Yeah, I think it's also related to, for example, the circle of that people. If they are staying in the exact same circle for so long, they didn't change, you see. But it's really different for you. For example, you went and you changed the circle, not necessarily changed, but like you met new people, you had a new mindset. That's why you're still the same, you still have a mindset and you're trying to do other things. But they are still in the same situation, the way you left them. And that's why they feel like, oh my God, he changed. That's why انتم تدوروا غير في what's the place you said?
شبشب. It's like
yeah, exactly. انتم تدوروا غير في هذيك البلاصة and stuff, and you guys are the ones who changed. But because maybe he's not used to certain situations where maybe you experienced, and that's why like he was reacting in certain manner. I don't know if I managed to make it clear. I think I said.
Yeah, I think I have an idea about what you think, and I want to develop on that. The thing is that I also think it has to do with the way they view themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Like for example, if they view themselves as very valuable, so it's okay if someone did a lot of things and come to talk to you because you're valuable. But if you don't think that you're valuable, then you think the only type of people who will come to talk to you are like very low. And so when someone shows up and is talking, giving you value, even though that person has done a lot, then they will react like the same way they react with all people, like usually in a very rude way. And then when reality shows up with a different example, they're just, blocked. So yeah.
I agree with you. I strongly agree with you.
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of complex of inferiorities. We're also talking about people who, the first time they show up, they start telling you about like their background. I used to work in a shop in Raya, and I remember that there were some people when they come نهضروا في كاش سوجي انا ما قلتلوش كامل زعما باغ اكزومبل واش درت في حياتك ولا بعد يقول زعما هي ستارتس توكين يقول لك انا عندي ماستر نعرف انا في هذا الفايس انا قريت انا رحت لهذيك and it's like وين رحت ولا وش قريت has nothing to do with your opinion. تقدر تكون رحت وقريت وعندك دراهم وشفت بزاف فيس so your opinion is stupid. You know, I mean, you either say a smart opinion or stupid opinion. Your background has nothing to do with that. شغل صح هما لا هما you know how they think. يقول لك باللي هذا اللي نهضر معاه راح يجوجيني على حسب انا واش درت. تسمى لازم نقول له واش درت ونقول له شكون انا وين رحت واش قريت واسمو باش يجوجيني differently. So the problem is that there are some people who do that.
Exactly.
أنا it happened to me. كاين some people اللي غير ما يشوفوك شغل على بالهم كامل تكون انت شغل يحقروك. تسمى حتى تقول لهم شكون من بعد يبداو وهي نورمالمون ماشي هكذا. نورمالمون there is a level of respect. تهضر مع كامل الناس. دار ما دارش انت you stick to your يعني لي برانسيب your standards. So they don't do that.
I've been through an experience. I witnessed an experience, a similar one, where I was at the post office, and then you have to make the queue, and then there is this person اللي يدخل ويخرج الناس. There is another person اللي جا سقسان. He was like, اسكو ندخلوا للعسى هكا. I was like, yeah, you have to have البون. لازم يكون عندك البون. ندار هكا بيدو. And then the other guy شعل وحده and he was like, نعرف بلي نعرف أنا وأنا قريت في الجامعة and stuff, and he was like started ينفخ في روحه and stuff, and I was like a witness there, and I saw بلي the person was just trying to orient دالو هكا البون, you see, and then قاعد يقولوا أنا قريت في الجامعة and stuff. Like 2 minutes later بدي يسقسي قالوا بصح كيفاش ندير هادي I'm just like
قاعد في الجامعة
وري ليش طارتك you see, and then جالي قاعد يقول شتي كيفاش قاعد يدير جو يضحك لي واحد بالعين لابسه هكا, and I'm just like I'm not the type of people who talk. I kept doing this. No, please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. But yes, it's a huge sense of inferiority. Like
نقول لك علاش maybe they do that. Maybe بس حقروهم ديجا شحال من خطرة من بعد they in order to avoid that يولي يديروا هكا.
I think even though it happens to you, I think you should have a certain limit, a certain amount of critical thinking, that not all people are the same. As if like كيعاملوك الناس على أساس أنك the same thing as everyone else, that people are all inferior. No, you have been through that experience before. You don't treat people the exact same way. And I think it's also a lack of self-confidence when you try to prove yourself everywhere you go, you see. You don't really have to prove yourself.
Exactly.
You see, like I
like that point.
You see, like a friend of mine recently told me to read to listen to the book, The Art of Not Giving an F. And in that book, like the first chapter mentions that you don't really have to say that I have to do this, or for example, okay, let me just give this example. He said that no successful person would wake up in the morning, look at the mirror and say, I'm very successful. And no one who is beautiful and who, like someone who considers himself or herself beautiful, would look at the mirror and say, I am beautiful, because they live the experience. They don't really have to say it. They do not really have to show it. And that's our problem. I think we really care about what others think about us and how they view us, and how they would treat us based on our position, either at work or society. And we try to always show people, hey, I'm here, this is how I am, and this is how I do. It's basically, we were talking previously about comments, and the comments that we receive on social media. And this is basically the same, like I'm here, I do exist. So I think it's related also to our self-confidence and our value. You mentioned before, you said value. It's also related to value. If you value yourself, you're not supposed to wait another person to value you.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to be in the shadows. It reminds me of what the comedian George Carlin said, that people who say that we don't care spend a hard time trying to convince other people that they don't care.
Yeah.
Like if you don't care, why are you trying to tell us that you don't care?
Yeah.
Then you don't care.
Yeah.
People who really don't care, they don't even show up to tell you anything because
Exactly.
they don't care. Because
Exactly.
you can see it in their attitude. But there is someone else who are trying to convince people that they don't care. And that's very bad. But there is also a question that sometimes I ask myself, is that why am I gonna get out of this? Like if I do this, if I say this, what am I gonna get out of that? Like for example, that person next to me اللي راني نسيك شغل نخليه، راني نسيك شغل نعجبه، راني نسيي نقول له بلي انا داير هكذا ودرت هكذا ودرت هكذا. انا واش راح نستفاد كي هذاك نعجبه؟ خلاص انا عجبته ولا يعيط لي دائما في التليفون يقول لي انا واش راح نستفاد؟ شغل ذاك like why are you ما عنده حتى يعني ما عنده حتى معنى.
I think for in certain situations people do this for a purpose. You see, let's imagine that, for example, you have a school. You see, and I come to talk to you, be like, hey, my name is.
Not
Sanaa.
every time, not always they have a purpose. Usually they have purpose with girls. There are certain
Yes.
guys.
Oh my God.
كي تحكي مع طفلة يبدا يقولها أنا ساكن في بلاصة فلانية وعندي طوموبيل
No, it's not
وبابا
about.
هادي
No,
ودار هادي.
I think
صح.
that was it's really.
It's still happening. It's still
it's
happening.
really بدكم فهمك. As a girl, it's really annoying. تسمع واحد يقول لك بابا دار. It's really annoying. You have no idea. It's like, why do I care about your father? You see? And more than this, when a guy comes and talks to you, we had like CV تاعو. Like, why would I care about what you did in your life? And they seem more narcissistic for like comparing to someone who would just like come and talk about thoughts and personality and ideas. Is like more interesting than someone who would come and be like, I did this and I have a certificate at this and I have this and that and that. You see? So it's just like, I don't think it's a good idea to talk to anyone starting by, like your name and then your CV. Because not everyone cares. You have to make sure that this person is really interested with what you have to say, and then say it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, also that's usually that's how I handle conversations. I don't like conversations online. People send me like, tell us about yourself, or هيا نتعرفوا or something like that. نحب يكون كيش سوجي نهضروا عليه. Like, that's interesting ideas. ومن بعد, if our two personalities يعني fit or something, probably we're gonna talk about ourselves. So I live بلاصة فلانية. بصح هذه that's after we talked about something, about certain subject. ماشي مع الأول like that. Can I get your name on your face? I'm supposed to tell you that's how old I am. That's where I live. That's how I do in my life. That's my ambition. What the hell?
I mean, listen, when it comes, for example, to the age and the university specialty or the work, I think it's a little bit acceptable because we can be.
I don't do it the first time. Salut, ça va. Bon,
I never start a conversation.
أنا اسمي زعما وهيب وفي عمري هادي ونقرا هادي وحالك وش. Come on. Even though they're not very personal. They're not very personal.
Yeah.
But I just feel weird sending these.
I mean, even like not online. I mean, when it comes to
face-to-face
face-to-face conversation, how do you start a conversation?
That's okay. That's okay.
Because you can find another person from the same specialty or from the same background that you might agree with.
Physically, it's okay. Like, for example, so what do you do in life? Like, hey, so my name is this, so what do you do in life? And then we'll start talking. Because sometimes you cannot know, what other person you cannot bring up a conversation until you know what you guys probably share as an interest. Like something common between the two of you. But like to message someone online, I don't know, like, so I'm supposed like to hold my phone and introduce myself.
People still do that.
Yeah, they still do that. That's why I'm bringing that up.
Yeah.
And they're also talking about guys showing off, like to girls. There are also guys who lie about the places they live. Like they say that I live in Hydra or Biar, or Sidi Yahya, just so that they can sound. I don't know what's the proper adjective.
I guess it's more. They tend to be more attractive.
Interesting and attractive. But sometimes they don't understand that the girl next to him doesn't really give a damn about where he lives. And sometimes, but in their mind, they think that the girl is going to judge him based on what he says he lives.
Because he has been through probably previous experiences.
Yeah, where people judge that. Maybe the type of people that he hangs out with, they judge other people based on the place they live. And so he thought that everyone is the same and everyone he meets is the same.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge mistake when it comes to relationships to make, especially if you're taking the relationship very seriously. If you're not being yourself, then why are you doing it in the first place? It means that if you tell a girl that you're living in Hydra and she would love you for it, and then if you change the place where you're living, she's gonna hate you for it, then she's not loving you. She's loving the person you're pretending to be.
Exactly.
And are you okay with someone loving you or liking you for someone you're
because
not?
Because of where you live. Or,
I mean, are you considering this relationship to be like forever and you continue to do this kind of behaviors? Especially if someone is quite old. If you're young and you're inexperienced, like 16 and I don't know, young people, even though I don't think they are supposed to do, they are supposed to get involved in such relationships, but that's our reality. People do get involved in such relationships at a younger age. I think that's quite, there is some learning, there is some guidance that's supposed to be taken at that moment. But then if you're in your 20s and you're still doing this and you're considering the relationship to be serious in the future, then I guess you are doing something very wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes there are people who are in the 30s and they do that.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah, I mean, people in the 30s do crazy things that you'd start questioning yourself, like,
really?
شكون كبير فينا? Can you please, تفهمني?
Do you have these situations where people think that you're older than?
I had situations where I thought that I was older and wiser than people elder than me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like if it's something that's born with you or it comes with experience, but I don't know, it could be both. Yeah, I mean, it could be both. You could be born with certain talents, but also the experience that you had in life when you grow up.
And add to it education that you had. If you are someone who is educated on
public education.
No, I mean family and society. Because I don't want to blame families, because sometimes they do their job, they do their what they can, but still the children do not really follow what their parents had taught them. You see, what was the point we were talking about?
Yeah, so the way the family raised you, like that's how you became wiser than people in the 30s.
Yes, but also it's related to, we said experiences, we said your parents, but also I said the society.
Yeah, it has to do with nature or nurture debate.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to talk about a point related to this. You said people are wiser when they come to their 30s. No, I think, especially people who
No, I didn't say that they're wiser, but
no, I
that's
know
how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. But I had conversations with, not even conversations, I had to talk with people in their 30s with PhDs who didn't really know how to make a proper conversation, you see? So you went to university, you went to 12 years of school and then maybe 5 years at university.
But it really depends.
It does.
Not everyone at university knows English. There are nerds. There are people who just like they just hang out by themselves.
Yes, that's completely understandable. But I think as social species, we should take care of our social skills, and namely emotional intelligence. I think that when we're going to universities, we're just following what the school is telling us, but we're not taking good care of our social skills. Because if you arrive at a certain age with a certain degree and you don't know how to make a simple conversation. I seriously had to fight with someone who was a PhD, not a student, but I mean a graduate. Like he had a professor or whatever they call someone who has a PhD. Because there was like so much misunderstanding that we couldn't really make a conversation. And I was like, that made me think that we're supposed to take care of our emotional intelligence and our social skills the way we're taking care of our grades and our university courses.
Yeah, that's true. I had like, he was actually a blogger in the team of Algene Black Pearl. So we met him yesterday, and he was telling me about this idea of a lot of people use the sentence "we should do something," but they don't ask themselves that maybe the goal that we are trying to achieve isn't the same goal that the other person is trying to achieve. And then I said, like, okay, give me an example. Is that, for example, someone tells you, like, you should work out because you, for example, you will be physically fit, but maybe my goal isn't to be physically fit. Maybe I have other priorities. So, but then I was like, yeah, definitely. When someone says should, they are saying that what they think is supposed to be a goal based on their life. They're not forcing you to do that. They should, according to what they think. But maybe other people. So maybe there are certain people at university who, like, they would understand why you tell them that they need social skills, but at the same time, it's not like one goal for them. Because I think that they already know. People who smoke, they already know that smoking is bad. They already know that they should stop. But the priority sometimes is me not feeling stressed, or just getting rid of certain feeling or wherever.
I think, so talking about we should do this, I have a comment on this. I think that sometimes people just say we should do this, not to sound, because if I say, in certain situations, not necessarily in the one that you mentioned, like, I think everyone else should do this and this and that. you can find the person who's fit and say he couldn't like really tell you, Wahib, you have to exercise, you see. So he says we have to exercise to sound less arrogant and just try to get the message to you in a proper manner. What was your next point?
I wouldn't be very sensitive about that. Like
It
if he
depends.
says you have to or we have to. I mean, I don't see it like, I wouldn't see him like arrogant if he says you have to. That's just like, that's just from his way of thinking.
Some people get offended when you tell them anything.
Oh my God.
I had friends where I had to give them a feedback, a negative one, and they'd be like, they had to attack me back, say something negative that I did like a month ago or a week ago, just like because I said something, I gave a negative feedback, like, hey, you know, you have to work on this and this and that, and then they'd be like, you know what, you do have to work on this and this and that, you see? It was not really comfortable. I'm not trying to attack you, I'm just trying to say something that I noticed, and I'd like to be treated the same way, so I'm treating you the way that I think I'm supposed to be treated too.
Yeah, I mean, I have actually my brother who does that a lot, and especially like when I say about when I point to something wrong that he did, and he goes like, you also passed last year or 3 months ago or somewhere, you also did something wrong, but I didn't want to tell you.
I know, right?
And I'm like, well, you could have told me, but like, what's this? I mean, are we having a war?
Yeah.
Like, who did most of the worst things?
That's very toxic.
I'm just saying that I pointed that so that you could fix it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to fix something else, then please point to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You mentioned something I wanted to talk about concerning that it's not everyone's priority. I think when it comes to social skills, I think they are supposed to be a priority. Why is that? Because with social skills, we're going to build a society that's going to be an environment for the next generation.
Uh-huh.
So if I don't know how to make a conversation at the age of 30, then how am I supposed to teach my children to have a good conversation, or how to even make a conversation with my kids, you see?
Yeah, true.
So I think that, I don't know, it's something that I've noticed while sitting during the quarantine, and I noticed how talkative I started becoming, because before I was not really talkative. Right now I don't shut up. So I was like, I think that's something good, especially if you talk to people who understand you. Social skills are not really developed at universities, and I think every one of us should work on their own so that they develop them. Because if you don't really have good social skills right now, and I don't have them, how are we supposed to make a fruitful conversation? And this is in a professional or maybe professional or academic environment. How about a personal one, where your skills will define the success or the failure of a whole society?
Do you find it easier to express yourself in English or in Arabic?
English.
English?
Yeah.
Is because of the vocabulary or?
No, because the words, when I say something, I think that I don't fear hurting the person in front of me comparing to when I speak in Arabic. When I speak in Arabic, I find myself a little bit harsher, you see? So if I talk to my mom, I'd say something and then she'd get angry.
Yeah.
And I wish you spoke English so that I'd say it in another manner and you wouldn't think that I'm trying to say something wrong to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same for me, but I think it's because of the way my family raised me, or maybe the way I don't know, like my childhood manifested, like through movies and everything. Like I found that their conversation usually are more like conversations that you used to hear in movies or TV shows used to be more elegant or more like deeper. And then I found that there are many, many expressions that we could use that it's very hard for me to use, for example, in Darja, because we don't talk in standard Arabic, of course, in Darja. And then what I found myself is that sometimes I try to translate, like there is a very simple sentence in English, but then, I don't know, like for example, the video that we posted about Farah. So someone was telling us that like it looks like you're trying to ride the feminist movement. Okay, you're trying to ride the feminist movement. Why? Because you posted the video about like sexual harassment. And then so I wanted to say a sentence, and I wrote it in English. I said that the idea that when someone talks about sexual harassment, and that's as if like that somehow means that he or she is trying to ride the sexual feminist movement is absurd. But when and then after I finished the comment, I was thinking that, you know, imagine if I was to write this in Arabic, like how is how is that supposed to be? فكرة أنك تعتقد أن you see it's very hard, even though Arabic is very expressive,
and
but it's not the same.
Beautiful language.
Yeah, it is, but I think that we're not very qualified, maybe because of media, because of culture, probably because we, yeah.
And also, I would add something to it, that the way we were taught in school. We never managed to speak, I guess, any language if it was not for our personal efforts, because the most thing that we focus on in schools is grammar. I don't, like, for example, at primary school we used to do الفعل المزيد, الفعل something else, I don't remember.
الفعل المزيد.
Yeah,
Never
there
heard
is.
of that.
Yeah, you don't remember, you see?
No, there is no فعل مزيد.
Oh,
فعل
really?
مزيد, really?
I guess so. I don't know. Okay, that's
What's
that's
that?
just I don't
Arab.
I guess no. I don't know where exactly, but it's in Arabic grammar.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
I remember.
we don't have to question this right now.
وصفة والموصوف.
No, there is like this two types of أفعال, which is one مزيد and ناقص, I guess. I don't work.
فعل الناقص والفعل I forgot, but it's not المزيد. Come on.
I don't know. I don't remember. I told
But
you.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but then I remember this course, but then right now, how am I going to use this? I don't know how to speak academic Arabic properly.
Okay.
Yeah, so how am I going to use this فعل المزيد والفعل whatever ناقص if المزيد exists? And I think our schools should have focused more on communication, because if I go abroad right now and tell them that yes, I come from an Arabic-speaking country and I speak academic Arabic, and then you have a foreigner who is an Arabic learner can speak Arabic better than me, because they also try to work on their communication, something that we used to, we learned through cartoons. You see, we watch cartoons, we know how to speak Arabic. If we didn't watch cartoons, you only like كتاب القراءة and you follow it, and you, whatever you learned in the classroom.
Cartoons taught us a lot, but
Yes.
the things that, for example, if you start watching cartoons now, I tried watching cartoons again, you don't find the conversations are as meaningful as they used to be when we were a kid. And the reason why they were meaningful when we were a kid, because you had very basic mind. But now when you're I don't know, like you hear conversation inside the cartoon, you don't think that.
What kind of cartoons? It depends.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
The last one you watched.
I used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh a lot.
Okay.
So the cards and.
I've tried to watch Lee Winks again.
Lee Winks?
Yes.
What's Lee Winks?
It's Lee Winks. It's just like for girls. It's not for you.
Okay, no, I don't know.
Okay. So I don't know. The conversation was a little bit meaningful for me.
Really?
So, yeah, I think it was cool. It's just like a bunch of girls who had to go and study.
Well, I'm not saying that they are never meaningful.
Okay.
Because I just remember that there are certain conversations that are meaningful.
Very meaningful.
Like, for example, there is a cartoon of called Dice. I'm not sure if you ever heard about it. Yeah, but sometimes they point to something that are adult subjects, you know. And I'm not saying adult in a very like sexual.
I understand. No,
I'm just saying that it's like for old people, sometimes philosophical, but they pointed it differently. For example, in this cartoon, there were certain creatures called the Dino Breakers, and those creatures they were actually getting slaughtered by the warriors of certain kingdom, and the warriors thought that those creatures, they want to mess up the place. That's why they were slaughtering them. But actually, what they wanted to just live. You know, that's why they were acting that way, because they knew that they are going to be slaughtered, and so they were being very chaotic.
Defensive.
Yeah, very defensive. The warriors were immortal, so they don't understand the desire of wanting to live. You know?
Oh yeah.
So
it's very deep.
Yeah, and so there was this guy, and he was explaining to them that انتم ما تموتوش دايما عايشين ما تحسوش ما تقدروش تفهموا واحد اللي راه حاب يعيش. قال لهم هذا someone who's mortal. قال لهم شغل انا جيت من بلاصه وين نعيشوا احنا ماجورتي نعيشوا 80 سنه 90 سنه، انتم كون ما تموتوش شغل ما تفهموش واحد اللي راه شغل اللي يحارب باش يعيش ويعيش حياه مليحه، بس على بالو باللي ما حاش يبقى دائما يونغ، ما بالوش بلي حيبقى تما وحاب يعيش مليح.
Yeah.
And so so I was thinking that like wow, this is inside the cartoon. يعني شغل ميكي يهضر في حاجة
Yeah.
كيما هذه اللي probably there are certain philosophers اللي يكتبوا عليها books and books and books. You see, and it's inside a cartoon, which is really cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I remember also watching some cartoons as a young girl, for example, القناص or هزيم الرعد. I think they had so many stories, especially القناص. It has so many lessons, you see, that, and I don't know if there was a study or something, but I read something that the cartoons we used to watch as ولاد التسعينات were so impactful on us as a generation comparing to other generations.
They are better than the cartoons of today.
Of course.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I mean, when I compare the cartoons I used to watch comparing to the cartoons my
very different.
youngest brother, who is like 10 years younger than me.
And I always
like,
think that
oh my
if
God.
I had kids, I'm gonna buy CDs that 90s and I make them watch them.
I don't think you can attract them because
لا وقته.
no, they can be attracted if you are only living with them. But they're gonna go with their friends, and their friends would tell them about other cartoons. They will not get interested with what you're elder. They cannot really get interested with what you used to see.
Yeah, true. All right. So before we wrap that up, do you have anything
Did
else?
we finish? Okay. I don't know. Like I didn't feel that time is
Yeah, I
passing.
mean, I think it's like 50 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. We talked about so many things.
Any like last message you want to tell people, or I don't know.
I think I would say again, talk again about emotional intelligence and how important it is to be developed. I don't think we should only focus on school and what society tells us and doing things because our friends are doing them or because society is telling us. I think every one of us should have their own opinion, their own decision. They have to take full responsibility of it.
Mm-hmm.
If I decide to go and study in a certain university, my father, my mother don't have really to have a say. I can take their advice, but I don't think they have to decide whether I should do this or that. If I want to do something, I have to question whether I want to do it because I want to do it, or because the society is telling me, or because my friend is doing it, or because I want the advantages that it's bringing to my friend. Because what it brings for my friend cannot be guaranteed for me. You see, and also working on our progress every day as we are in our 20s, and maybe some people who's going to be watching us are in their 30s. It would be really great if they keep thinking that progress should not really be stopped at a certain age. No, like we have to keep progressing every time, every day. We have to learn new things daily basis. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, especially in the part that people live the life of other people. Instead of being focused with their own goals, their own purposes, they look at how someone else's success, and they think that if I want to feel good, if I want to be successful, I need to do exactly what the other person did.
That's
even
right.
though we got like different talents, different ways of thinking, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much again, Sanaa, for coming, for accepting the invitation.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's been very fun and interesting conversation with you.
It was.
Yeah, and that's it for today. Bye-bye.